Last night, I returned home from working overtime and decided to take a nap, but I completely overslept and woke up super late. Now, I've been trying to post daily, and I immediately ran to my computer to begin working on a new video. However, while researching, I noticed that Revolver AGZ was sitting in a stream waiting for the release of a new game. That game was Shonen Smash. I decided I would give the game a try and maybe play for a few hours before typing up my thoughts and making this video. However, I immediately was hooked. As someone who grew up playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the original Nintendo Wii, the whole experience felt a bit nostalgic. The feeling of getting better and the high speed of the fights made the whole experience all the more addicting. However, there were quite a few bugs on release. Firstly, the game was not saving data immediately on release, which meant that players who rushed to buy things from the Robux store did not have what they paid for when joining back. Not to mention, this also meant that players were put into the tutorial over and over again. While this may seem pretty impactful, bugs like this one can be expected immediately on release. And I have to give credit to the staff of Shonen Smash and the owner TTW because they immediately got to work restoring and updating the community in the Discord. The second bug that people noticed was that ranked 1v1s and 2v2s wins were not tracking, which meant that no matter how many times you won, your score would always remain 0. I'll be honest, this was pretty impactful because it meant that grinding out ranked didn't have much use apart from the fast matchmaking. Talking about 2v2s though, there's also a bug where every 2v2 match would put you into a free-for-all mode instead of a no friendly fire 2v2 format. This meant that in order for the match to end, you'd have to fight your teammate in a 1v1 as well, unless they died earlier in the match. Personally, I didn't really mind friendly fire being turned on because it did add to the strategic part of the fight, and I think competitive Smash tournaments already have friendly fire turned on, so it isn't too big of a deal. That being said, a lot of characters have ranged abilities like Mage, so I could understand not wanting to accidentally destroy your teammate's percentage. One thing that I found interesting was that TTW seemed to be balancing the game in real time while everyone was playing. He must have put out over 10 polls in the news channel asking if this or that should be nerfed, and even asking about completely removing game mechanics. One of the most impactful of these changes was disabling healing from ultimates. How this worked in the game is that once a player unlocked their ultimate and activated it, their percentage would reset to 0, basically giving them a full health reset. Now, this allowed for matches to snowball as players could essentially get an extra life if timed well enough. Personally, I wasn't too opposed to this as I thought it was a unique mechanic and both players could do it as well. That being said, I understand both sides of the argument. Strangely enough, the poll currently sits at 59% voting yes and 41% voting no. This is pretty close, so it's interesting the change was implemented so fast despite being fairly polarizing. That being said, I think it does help and I'm okay with the change as a whole. All these bugs and balancing changes culminated in TTW closing the game last night after it being up for hours to implement some of these changes. So what does this mean for the game? Honestly, stuff like this is to be expected. From what I understand, TTW is doing a lot of the work himself, and maybe the 8,000 or so people who joined on release led to some unexpected bugs. That being said, I think a lot of the balancing and quality of life changes really should have been fixed in the testing stage. Stuff like healing with ultimates probably should have been decided prior to a public release. Also, ranked score not working is another thing that I think should have been tested beforehand. That being said, these bugs may not have shown up in testing, and I understand that sometimes a game has to be tested in the fire before these things really start to show up on the dev's radar. Despite these bugs, I once again have to compliment TTW on the speed in which he replied to the community and his willingness to listen and implement the opinions of the player base as a whole. He definitely comes across as humble and willing to acknowledge constructive criticism. This gives me hope for the game's future so far, as it seems to be in capable hands. So, is the game worth playing? I would say 100% yes it is. The core gameplay is working fine, and most of the bugs were not game-breaking whatsoever. Furthermore, the game is simply fun. I stayed up way too late playing my friends, and I think the replayability is super high. I could play this game for hours and not get bored. The ability to create custom matches with your friends also improves this even more. I think this game could become a staple on the Roblox platform, and it'll be a great accessible option for people who are looking to pop on a game with friends and kill some time. The game will also very likely develop its own competitive scene and a community of its own, with more characters set to be added and a developer who seems to be genuinely open to improving his game and listening to his community. I think Shonen Smash is set for success. However, as always, I am curious to hear what you guys think about Shonen Smash. Please leave a comment down below showing your thoughts on the game so far and what you like or don't like about it. If you have any constructive criticism for the game, also please mention that too. Since who knows, maybe the owner, TTW, will stumble across this video and read what you have to say. I'll also try and reply to the comments where possible. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, comment and subscribe. I'm trying to post daily where possible, and the games I'll be covering in the coming months are the new My Hero game, Davers of Creation, and any Rel sees news / information about the release. I will also definitely be playing more Shonen Smash, so keep an eye out for more videos on this game too. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.